All right, folks, welcome back for episode 9 of Shogun, our recap review show, our last show of our little catch up game for episode 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so I must also be very much a honest person here and say, now, you said episode 7 was the best, and then I said episode 8 was the best. I said episode 9 was in fact was going to be explosive, but holy hell. You know, I think as much as we enjoyed this show, we know it is a limited series. I think it's safe to say we're definitely not getting to season 2 by any means. What characters are left at this rate? Like, it's just one after another, and we got a finale, and we definitely got some other key characters that I don't think will be around beyond the end of that. But nonetheless, I think it's safe to say, because you know me, I'm very much until we see a body. I think this may be our final time seeing Lady Mariko. What is your thoughts? Let's just start right there. What is your thoughts about this act of courage and almost selfishness? Because it seems like this whole episode was for her to at one point fulfill a mission for Toranaga, but I think this was some type of level of like I don't know. It was definitely something for self here with her. But what's your thoughts about this?
This episode was predominantly focusing on Mariko. Most of the focus was on her and I guess kind of her, position and what Toranaga had in mind for her, but also with her coming to terms with she's been ready to die, I think, since she was kidnapped as a kid. Like, I feel like she's not like suicidal, but like she wants to, I guess, go out in an honorable way, but also feel like it gives her like life a purpose. It was pretty sad, like seeing like her son like is kind of brainwashed, and like her son wasn't even really there for her either. And then like at the end, she finally gets with John, and I'm like, yay, happy moment. And then 2 seconds later, it's like she sacrifices herself, and it was really, really sad. But I never trusted Ishido, and Yabushige either. So it just sucks because now it's like, damn, like Mariko could have had a happy moment.
Yeah. Let me correct you here, because you know there was a bit of speculation in terms of who hooked up with John inside of the gift earlier on in the season, and I had always felt it was Lady Mariko. We know it wasn't Fuji, but it just wasn't entirely sure who it was. And I think what's beautiful about the storytelling here is while that was in the dark, and so we could have assumed who it was. And there's a lot of evidence that it totally was her. But this was the moment that they got to share passion for one another in the light. So it kind of shows you just how far along they've come. You know, from one moment, her willing to give herself up for not for not being able to fulfill her duties to Toranaga, but ultimately trying to save these other women, which included not only just his wives, but his god kid, you know, his grandkid, you know, his grandkid. I get. Wait, is that his
I think
grandkid?
they said son, but I originally thought grandkid as well. But she did say he never saw his son.
Yeah, it is her son, because I mean, that's, you know, essentially that he's married to Shizu and Kiri. So, you know, and had not, you know, Lady Shizu had birth in Osaka by herself without him, and had not had a chance to see his grandkid. You know, there's just a lot, but nonetheless, he was doing all of this to kind of make a lot of that right. And um it is sad that when there was potentially a moment to kind of shield and guard that door, and Blackthorne is asking for help, Yabushige, man, I tell you, he bamboozled me the most, because I thought last episode just maybe he was going to get it together, because he realized that he's connected to Toranaga more than anybody else. But as we know, his bid to pledge and follow Ishido was now approved. which ultimately made him sort of the catalyst for this this sneak attack by the shinobi, which not only came at the death of many people's lives, but it ultimately was Lady Mariko, because his cowardness did not allow him to help John, and all the doings of them trying to escape, even him dragging his feet a little bit, getting into that room, it's all his fault. It's all his fault. And it's entirely sad that like this guy who, I don't know how, at what point can he see he's been, everybody there is used as a puppet. So him even being on Ishido's good side still is not, it's borrowed time. And he still can't see that. And all of what he did, it has resulted in Mariko's death. Him ultimately can die too, because he's in there. So, you know, it's just, it's such bad taste in my mouth for Yabushige. But man, for Lady Mariko, man, just what a story. What a story. The moment that she goes in there and looks Oshido in the eye, puts her foot down and says, like, I'm taking these women back with me. Don't care what you say. You know, one's looked at it as an act of defiance, and she felt very liberated in doing so, to the point that what's her name? Achiba was kind of looking like, to me, it looked like she was looking like, wow, that's what power looks like. That's what it means to stand up on your feet and to believe in what you believe in, because she went in there in front of everybody in a place that, you know, again, a lot of people looked in all the different ways, besides her feeling like she was doing what she needed to do. And what a powerful moment. I mean, we got to just talk about Anna's performance this entire season, but man, if this scene alone don't bank her award, I don't know how this voting thing works. I know I'll do my best, but I don't know how this voting thing works. If this scene alone do not get her nominated and this show nominated for something, but man, a lot. I'm gonna throw it right back to you, whether you want to elaborate on this more or another scene. But yeah, as we continue to catch up on all of the last 3 episodes that we missed on our release, what was your next most important and significant scene of episode 9?
I feel like this entire episode had a lot of very like important scenes. I guess even just going back to the first interaction, when Ochiba and Mariko first see each other again, when Lady Mariko is being questioned by Ishido, she congratulates them on the engagement. We kind of have no idea where this conversation is going to go. She's doing her duty. She said Toranaga's still mourning the death of his son. Ochiba says it's good to see her. They talk about poetry. And then this is when Mariko starts to get like a little defiant. And I'm like, oh, snap. Like this lady's like about to, I guess, do whatever her position was, I guess, you know, requiring of her. So she's like, I'm not competing. I'm taking Kiri and Shizu with me. And I'm like, wait, what? Did she just speak back to Ishido? Like she literally was like, no, this is my duty. I'm doing it. I'm returning to my lord. And are we confined here? And then this is when I started to see the bigger picture. At first I didn't really get it, but now like it made it clear how she, you know, she was like, I'm the daughter of a samurai and I will never be captured or confined. And then this is when she starts to kind of upset them. And I kind of see like, that's what the bigger picture was, that she's proving that people are technically like held hostage there, that they don't have the freedom to leave. Because he's like, oh, now you need like a permit. So I think that was kind of like things starting to like make more sense.
Yeah, I said it for our last one, and I really didn't think it was going to like evolve into what it was. But like the word, hostage or captive, or what is the word that they're using here?
I think confined.
Confined, yeah, confined and hostage. Yeah, like understanding just really how important it is. I mean, I think maybe the viewers, we look at it as just a term or just almost a scenario, but like this is like a conditioning. Like these folks don't even realize they can't go, leave, and come and go as they please. You know, even to the point where we got to talk about in a second, but even to the point that the other leaders of the council were kind of like, I don't have no power. my jaw dropped. I was like, really? And they're like, oh, we have to have a meeting if we're going to do so.
Yep.
Which, what is that going to do when you don't have power? You don't have say. Your vote could easily have you killed and replaced, which we've seen happen before. Remember before when the one tried to leave and he got stopped before he can even leave out of the city. You know, so yeah, it is truly her job in terms of exposing the corruption and almost waking people up to what's really happening around. I think without a doubt that she executed, and since there's been so much importance about meaningless death or meaningful deaths, I mean, she's definitely on the other end of the rainbow in this one here. Like everything that she's did in this episode will have a great impact, I think, for her son. I think for the sake of religion, because let's not forget, she called what's his name to be her second, and he didn't show up. And and he said by the order of the church, yeah, I am supposed to do that, and he didn't. So for her son, who believes in the church, who looked up to him, is going to have to will be able to acknowledge that, which he was there, so he saw it. So I think she broke the system. Everything that everybody believed in, she went in there and she left an impact and completely broke the system up and down the board.
I was gonna say this episode also cleared up the understanding of what a second is for me. At first, I thought second meant like someone's gonna take my position, and then this cleared it up. No, second means I'm the one to finish it, so that you're technically not killing yourself. I was like, oh, now it makes complete sense.
Yeah, and a little bit more to that. Not only is it that you're not just killing yourself, but you didn't commit suicide.
Yes.
That you would go to hell.
Yeah, so it's more honorable.
Yep. So, what an episode. I do love the scene of Ochiba asking to meet John, which I was like, oh, this is interesting, but it was only a ploy because she needed Mariko. For the translator, and it was really just about them two. And like, you know, what happened in that moment is everything we knew about their long-standing friendship, how much they meant to one another, you know, establishing like how their families and everything that happened, how that caused the rift and the separation between the two. But I think Lady Mariko clearly still cares about her, and I think Achiba, in a way, like not only respects her, but like envies her, because she sees her to be like every bit of the woman she wants to become. She's not just there as the protector of the hair, but we see that like as Lady Mariko, who is you know, in fulfilling the mission for Toranaga, is somebody that is trusted, somebody who has undying loyalty. I mean, this is an important mission. I don't think Achiba's looking like no one would ever select me to do anything of this sort. I think there is a measure of respect and envy for her, but ultimately, this is why we see tears shed between the two of them, because like for how much time has passed, just really showed how just different they are from when they originally were like sisters. And it's going to be really interesting to see how her death impacts Ochiba now, because the one thing I learned about this show, telling somebody or persuading somebody to do something is never enough. You have to have blood shed in order for anybody to truly like get the grasp of everything that's happening. So I'm just going to say, predicting next week, I expect, which is just sounds so stupid to kind of out of my mouth, I expect Yabushige to get his act together. I expect Lady Ochiba to turn and somehow backstab Achido, and I expect everybody else in Osaka to really wake up and to see what's truly happening. And obviously, with one more episode, I think we still expect Toranaga to show up. You know, but we're going to see how what happens. I gotta tell you, the Shinobi showing up was not in my deck of cards. I thought like I thought this was actually Crimson Sky, the name of the episode. I thought Crimson Sky was about to go down.
Yeah,
So
I
I
was
thought all of
hoping
them
that
was
it was
there.
like on their side, and then when they grabbed Mariko, I was like, no.
Yeah, I literally thought, I said, oh, y'all just probably can't see because it's dark.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were looking, they looked at the kids. They saw, and maybe that's what it was. But like at one point, and you know what? It's exactly what she said. Because at one point they killed all the guys and they were checking all the women to make sure it wasn't her. Then when they found her, they went after her. So in a way, I was like on edge because I'm like, oh snap. If this is Crimson Sky and these are actually Toranagas and them folks, I said Buntoro was going to walk in on them. That's the first thing I thought. And I was like, no, we don't need that drama. We don't need that drama right now. He would have killed him.
I had that in my head too.
He would 1,000% killed him. 1,000%. And honestly, I thought he would have killed him. He would have killed Blackthorne, and then Mariko would have killed him. Is what I would have thought. But nonetheless, in the Ultimate Universe, it was the Shinobis who was just there for her and her defiance. And we just see that's just how Ishido moves. And he seems to always be like, all right, no problem with everything. And then he always does some sneaky stuff at the end of it. And that's been his whole MO this entire season. It's all okay. But then next thing you know,
somebody... Of course you're free to go. Here's your permits. You're all allowed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, okay. Back to it. What were some other big things for you? I definitely got some, but I'm trying to be fair here and let you navigate this a little bit. What were some of your other big moments in this episode? How did you feel about, I mean, you briefly touched on it, but how did you feel about Mariko and her son?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed, but I feel like it makes sense that they're under Ishido. I feel like everyone's kind of brainwashed in a sense, and everyone kind of feels like it's their duty, and it sucks that like he was basically like turning against his own mother.
Yeah. The Catholics are torn. They're not sure, but Oviedo's like, nah, I'm pretty sure that like he truly have given up, because we saw his best friend. We saw him, Hiromatsu, behead himself. I mean, kill himself and then be beheaded. I think that is it. But the other ones are kind of like, I don't know. Lady Mariko's here and the Arjun's here, so like something's up. Like, which is, I guess it's interesting to see where their involvement will be. I don't know how they're going to get all this done in 1 hour.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there has to be another season to explore the whole part of like the Catholics and stuff, because I feel like there's not enough time to tie all that up. What's their point in being there? Because they even showed that she knew the priest for a very long time, 14 years ago, when Mariko's father was killed and she was like the last of her line. The priest was there to like console her and basically like tell her like it's okay to live, that God spared him for a purpose and that she has a purpose. He gives her the cross, and that was 14 years ago. So I feel like they have some kind of like friendship and like belief in like the faith. So I feel like faith has to like serve like more of a purpose. But that was also like her giving her confession before everything happened. She did do a confession and have like a poem written. So I guess maybe that was her apology for what is going to happen.
What do you think the confession was specifically about? I wasn't sure. Was it? I thought
John?
It might have been. I thought so. That's what I thought. But I thought a little bit of that, death. And I also thought too that maybe because she kind of veered away from religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I remember her wearing a cross the entire time, but like it was very much featured in this episode. But maybe it was a measure of confession that she steered away from religion, and maybe because he says like, if you don't have anything else to hold on to this. Mm-hmm. And I think there have been plenty of times where maybe Lady Mariko was just kind of just on edge about life in general and then gave up everything. And that's kind of why she was so very comfortable with death. But I think maybe that was the confession she was given, is how she may have veered away from religion. Obviously the thing with John, and then ultimately whatever her plan was going to be by the end of this day or this episode, is that, she was not planning to stick around much longer. She knew that her life may have was maybe to come to an end.
And I was gonna say the priest also basically inferred that war is coming. So I kind of feel like, how are they gonna tie into all this?
Yeah. Kayama, who is like, one of the members of the council of regents, who is also very much high within the church, who is talking all this church hoopla, who, as you mentioned, brainwashed her son, and also wasn't there to be her second in terms of her getting ready to kill herself. That guy, man, I tell you, they don't make rats outside of Yabushige no better than him. And I can't wait to see what happens to him. But I definitely think that the son will have something to say about that next week. I think the son will get his hands a little wet specifically for that.
Because I was gonna say one thing too. Yabushige, he didn't like argue enough. Like, he was like, I have the Anjin with me. He was his Hamamoto.
Yeah,
he was his Hamamoto. Like, he has a purpose. He can do this. And then once Ashido was like dismissed, he didn't even like argue it. So I feel like that was only his excuse to get there. He just needed to get to Osaka. That was his excuse to act like, I'm on your side. And then once he's there, he's a dirty rat again.
Facts. 1,000% facts. Yeah. I'm glad I'm gonna bring that up. I have to talk about the best scene of this episode, and that's Lady Mariko leaving, ready to depart with all the ladies, and gets into as she tries to depart, she gets to the gate where Achido folks are asking for a permit, but she stands tall, and we have these soldiers or these samurais that are willing to sacrifice themselves for her and Toranaga, and they have some beautiful fight choreography here, and this is brutal, and once all of the soldiers are slain and they give their their sentiments about how it was an honor to serve her, she goes out there and she tries to fight herself. This right here had me on edge. The arrows being shot at her foot, John not really giving me much of a reaction. I was expecting him to be a little bit more. Yeah, I was expecting him to be a little bit more impulsive in something. Lady Ochiba there, and just maybe it's in true customary fashion while she's hooded, but nonetheless she's there. But this is a demonstration of not only power but belief and loyalty, and seeing her say, "I cannot fight all these men," to go back and look at the women and say, "I'm sorry, but we have to go back." All the men who had died, all the council regent folks saying that they didn't have any power and they would have to have a meeting to vote or whatever. I think again she casted doubt on everybody.
Yep, that was their wake up.
That was definitely their wake up call. This is almost like a protest, in a sense. But this scene was shot crazy, man. This show is so damn good. I literally could watch this thing over and over and over because in a time where women aren't truly, well, still sometimes in this day and age women ain't really vibe, but specifically in this time where you have women who has very particular roles and very particular usage, to see her be the most powerful person on screen with so many people, so many different, whether they're families, affiliations, ranks, or whatever it may be, her being the most powerful person and walking almost, this reminds me, like, I know this is fictional to something that's being applied to something in history, but like it literally reminds me of the first Wonder Woman film, when she walked through no man's land, which is named No Man's Land, and a woman walked through it in a place they say, oh, nobody could go through, no one could do. This was a woman, Lady Mariko, who everybody knows you cannot leave, and she was the one that was going to do it and bring all these other women behind her, and she was willing to give her life for it so that everybody could know, one, that there was a problem with the system, but two, that she was willing to sacrifice it all for the sake of all the people behind her. I don't know if there's better storytelling ever in the scene in this series thus far. This was so damn good. That's why it sucks so bad she had to die. maybe at the end of this episode. I'm just like almost flabbergasted.
I know, I was so angry. I literally yelled.
This show, man, this show is mean, man. Like you can't, no one's safe. All your favorites is gone, but I don't know, man. I hope Toranaga just shows up in rage.
Chop some heads.
Please,
I was gonna
everybody.
say Ochiba is a lot smarter than she lets on also, because Ashido was basically like, can you offer me any counsel? And she's like, no, but she basically provided like so much knowledge. She was basically like that Mariko's gonna do as she says, like she'll take vengeance like on fate, that she'll die to be free of disgrace, and that Osaka will be disgraced if they let her die.
Man.
So she's offering like all the options. Like if you let her die, we're gonna be disgraced. If you let her live, like we're also gonna be disgraced. So she's just giving all the options. So I'm like, she's a lot smarter than she lets on, because I feel like none of the men really like figured out what was happening.
And honestly, both options she gave, they both apply, because the moment that she was that she was given her permit, as they said, every other person says, well, I want to leave too. They said, okay, well, apply for your permit. But I mean, of course, because you have all of them held captive, of course they're going to want to leave. You know, all these hostages that you have, they're going to want to leave. And now that they see one was given it, they're all going to do it. So essentially, it is exposing the corruption and the system that Ashido has in place. But like, how much longer was this going to be a thing until somebody at some point was going to be able to slip through the cracks? And we've seen that with some of the other women where they were just like, hey, we were able to get out before the thing, before it was closed. So like, there's a lot of what Ashido has been trying to build to somehow swindle his way up to be the Taiko successor, even though that there is an heir to the throne. You know, he's just about where he wants to be, but I don't think it's going to come. I don't think it's possible to come knowing that everybody has now been full blown woke from everything that's happening around them. So
one more thing I wanted to point out was Mariko's son was saying that he was betrothed to somebody's granddaughter.
yeah.
So it's like they're already like making plans for her son, when she's like, no, like we're indebted to Toranaga. And he's like, no, I'm not sure whose granddaughter it was, but
Kayama.
He's already
the shady religious council guy.
So he's already like plotting, and he's like 10.
Yeah. And again, that's what I'm saying. Him not showing up to be the second, the son definitely going to realize like this whole thing about like, I'm believing into the religion and you're practicing these laws and these sort of just like measures in place, and you're not following them, then why should I? And that's where the mother comes in. The mother comes right. It's like, not our loyalty is to Toranaga, not towards the church. It's not. And I think that's the first bit of like, that's the first bit that should have the son start to questioning like what's happening, what's really happening around him.
Another thing I'm wondering too is I know Toranaga expected Yabushige to still want to go, but I'm wondering if he almost knew he had a plan in motion with Ashido, or because I feel like Toranaga's not dumb. He's very smart. So I'm wondering if he had any other plan.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. There's so much that I don't know if they're going to be able to get over it in one episode. Because like, yeah, listen, let's call what it is. Yabushige out here killing some of Ashido's folks who wasn't in on the loop to let the shinobi come in, then gets back in there and is just like, oh, we have what did it say?
Intruders.
We got intruders. So like he's playing like he's a victim, but like they had a tap count so they can know how long everything was going to go down, and then he puts himself in the opposite end. So like there's enough that makes it very clear that he was a part of it. Will John be able to expose that? Sure. But I think the women too. I think the women very clear will be able to pick up on this. And I think Lady Mariko, I think even she may even have known at her last moment that she was just kind of like, John, just let it be.
Didn't he also say like go to the gate? Like he was trying to like navigate them where to go, and she's like, no, we're
yeah, exactly. Because that's where they came from. You're leading them right to no. this episode just like drained me of emotions, man.
Yeah, I literally
Drained
yelled.
me.
I was like, no.
What else? You did talk about that scene that Lady Ochido letting all the guys know what truly could be Mariko's motives and how and you know, the options that's at hand depending on how they handle this.
I guess question for you. Do you think that Ochiba was trying to manipulate Mariko kind of by bringing up like their childhood? What do you kind of get from that? Or just her trying to...
I don't know, man. I think she was just posing as somebody who had more importance than she really does. And I think that Mariko could see through it. So I think she was trying to use her influence and trying to like make it seem like she was sitting on a pedestal, but like it backfired because her going back talking about their past also triggered her emotions. Right? So she's like, man, listen, stop the game. Stop all this, you know, whatever you're trying to do. And then Mariko's like, no, I am loyal. This is my mission. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm taking these women back. And Ochiba, I guess, just could not believe that a woman could be doing, or yet alone her could be doing this when you have all these other powerful women that was around her that weren't able to do anything. I mean, just go down the list of all the people that was in Osaka. You had the Dayanin who just passed. You had Akiri, you had Shizu that was there. She was there. I mean, like, these are all folks that, like, you know, was just sitting around as basically Ashido was just doing as he pleased, killing anybody who defied him to ultimately become the successor of the Taiko, even though that the Taiko's here is there. And I think he just was, you know, as the sole leader of the Council of Regents there, you know, and having all the influence and everybody to him, he would have him to be the ruler of Japan until the heir was old enough to take his position, which we know he's not in favor of because he would never just relinquish his power. So, you know, and that's her son, which makes it even more interesting. It's like you have a loyalty to somebody who doesn't have you or your son at best interest, by the way. You think he does, but you even said it, like, he doesn't really have loyalty to the Taiko. He like, let's not pretend like he was a good person. That's just you trying to manipulate your mindset about who she should be loyal to. She should be loyal to the Taiko, and the son should be the next one up, and everything should be parenting for that. But in fact, while the power was distributed across the Council of Regents, Ashido has decided that he was going to be the main person. He just needed Toranaga to fall. Crazy. I think the last thing to really talk about is just the very emotional scene of Lady Mariko, who
John?
who said, listen, I refuse to live under the shame of my failure. So she was going to kill herself. And why, which I keep forgetting his name here, Kayama. Yeah, why Kayama didn't show up. John stepping up to say, I will be your second. I lost my shit.
Yeah, I was gonna cry. He had to do it. I was gonna cry.
First of all, I was like, this is gonna go bad because he doesn't know how to swing a sword.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I was just sad.
But I also thought it was interesting that they were going to close the thing for her. I don't know. And I was like, is this a plan? But it was not a plan.
Yeah.
She was really about to go through it. She was really about to go through it.
I was like, oh, are they going to fake it? And then
I was thinking that too. And then she finally gets her at the very, very last second. She gets her permit. But yeah, I'm just ready for the finale. Is there anything else with this episode to mention, talk about, anything you felt? Anything that should be mentioned? Reaction questions?
I just think this one was really about Mariko, but it was kind of sad. Like, I didn't expect her to go out like that.
Yeah. I think that Alvito's song playing through the credits, which was the song that he was humming or singing or harmonized, whatever, during her confession. Woo, that was deep too. I was just like, damn, because like, was that the confession that she knew she was going to give her life by the end of this night, one way or another? So, all because of goddamn Yabushige. Anywho, we'll put a pin in it there. we are ready for the finale. We're finally there. We're finally caught up, which means the finale episode will drop after you check it out. So immediately after that drops, jump over to Big O Belt Media YouTube channel or wherever you catch our videos at, and hear us give our thoughts, not only on the finale episode 10, but of the entire season. We definitely are going to have to talk about where this show ranks amongst all the great television we watched over the years. And if they do somehow, some way, leave us with a cliffhanger, what might we want for season 2? I'm telling you, I'm tired of being invested in these characters and they're just dying. So I'll clock out. I can't take the emotional impact anymore. This sad, man. I can't be crying, man, off this, but it's such a damn good show. So, but yeah, get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about episode 9, your predictions for episode 10, and we'll see y'all back in just a few days for that one.